I'm Elizabeth Warburton and welcome to Season 3 of Property Elevator. In Season 2, we saw many property professionals face the angels to try and secure that all-important funding for their property projects. And this year, we're back for more. Now, we've seen over the last year just how important it is to have your money working for you. With inflation rising and bank interest levels at their lowest in years, it's never been more important to put your money to good use. This is why so many people turn to property investing. It's not easy though. You often need both the finance and the knowledge to take that deal over the line. And that's where our angels fly down to help you. In this show, we give property professionals the chance to pitch their deals to our 5 seasoned property investors. Helen Chorley, John Howard, Paul Mahoney, Ranjan Bhattacharya and Wallwork, or who we call our property investment angels. These developers have the chance to walk away with the backing of someone who can bring both the finance and experience to their deal. You're watching Property Elevator.
Hi, I'm John Howard. I've been a property developer and investor for 40 years, and during that time I've bought and sold in the region of 4,000 properties.
My name's Paul Mahoney. I'm a property investor. I also founded Nova Financial Group, which is a property investment advisory company.
My name's Helen Chorley. I'm a professional property investor. I'm also a co-founder of the Property Sisters UK community, supporting women and SME developers in the industry.
My name's Wallwork. I'm an investor, developer and owner of propertyforum.com and the development brand Red Brick.
My name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I'm a property entrepreneur, an investor and developer for the last 30 years.
Who would like to start first, offer-wise?
Got people throwing money at you, that's always a great sign.
The problem you've got here, in my view, is you've got basement. Basement always rings alarm bells to me.
I think you've missed some opportunities here, which is what I'd bring to the party.
And what are the issues you mentioned that you said you've got solutions for?
But if that's the right price, why hasn't it been snapped up?
I think the windows is quite a serious concern.
I know the road and I know exactly where it is.
There is meat on the bone.
So make an offer then.
Well...
Welcome to episode 1. Let's see who our first pitch of the day is. Tristan, welcome to the show. What have you brought today then?
So today I'm coming along with a property that I've named Vista, which looks over the river in Norwich. It's a beautiful property which is previously been a warehouse until about 2000.
Right.
And then it's been converted into offices and used as a building consultancy firm.
So you're wanting commercial to resi?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And touch wood, there's enough margin in there to be able to retain the unit to the end, all with a few different exits.
So tell me, what do you need from the angels today?
So today I'm looking to raise £240,000 of seed capital to go towards the deal. I've already raised or found dev finance for the property.
Okay.
So it's just the seed equity to get the deal going and moving forwards.
Yep.
And then hopefully we'll be able to turn the whole project round in about 8 months.
Brilliant. Well, good luck. I'll have a chat to you when you get out. I've got my fingers crossed for you.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks.
We've now got Tristan coming in to see us, and he's got a deal in Norwich, which, funnily enough, I obviously know very well. Got businesses in Norwich, so and I know exactly where this is, so that should be interesting.
Looks like a good one.
Thank you for coming in today. I'd like to know, we'd all like to know actually, a bit about you and a bit about the deal you've brought us today.
And where you bought that shirt.
And where I bought the shirt. This came direct from China.
Wow.
And,
Excellent.
And I've ended up having a few people could ask, do I just have the one shirt? No, there's a selection of 4 of them. So then that way
Excellent.
you can
Very
always
on
keep
brand.
on brand. And there's also, in the car park, you'll find there's a zebra print van as well.
Wow.
So,
Excellent.
it runs all the way through.
Good brand
I was going to say a
marketing.
zebra.
Do you want to get on with the pitch?
Shall do. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for having me today. I've come along to bring a property that I've named Vista, which is 34 Yarmouth Road, which just faces out to the river and is located in the Broads Authority. I have been a property investor, whether for myself or for other people, since about 2012. Previously, I used to work for a student property investor and landlord who had about 150 houses when I joined them and about 200 when I left. And whilst I was working for them, I was their property investment manager. And without even realising it, I was deal sourcing, finding properties and opportunities for them, gutting them, refurbing them, and you'll see in my CVs that I've given you. At one point, I was doing 6 refurbs, did about 45 rooms, and with 4 build teams in 2.5 months. So I then moved over to a company called Castle now, which you'll see in there. And there I was working for a ground rent investor and freehold investor. And I was just trying to find stuff where we could add a bit more margin to it. And typically we focused on problem properties where we find the problem, fix it, and then we can then take the margin. So, I mean, you know, if you'd be able to find a property where it's got management issues, we'd then be able to uplift the YP that we're selling at. And when I moved down to Southampton, I thought, why work for someone else? I can see how creative this can be, how more interesting this can be, and what we can do with finance and funding. Let's go do it for myself. So that's a little bit about me. Well, that's more than a little bit about me. That's quite a lot about me.
Let's talk about the deal, please.
That's fine. We've got a purchase price agreed at £335,000. And as you'll see in the packs, we've got a GDV of about 1.38 million once we've achieved planning on top of the Class O. It's a commercial to residential investment. And you can see it's not necessarily the most beautiful building from this angle, but to the left of it, we've got a pub. But then all around the area, it's in a really quite a nice residential area where the pound per square foot is fairly high for the area. In Norwich, it averages between 270 to 300. I believe off the top of my head, this is about 310, 320 pounds a square foot in this area. Initially, I went in offering an exchange with delayed completion to get it in at 5%. And then the idea being it would be subject to planning. The vendor is actually quite an old person and they've decided that they don't want to deal with that and they've had a negative experience before on it. So that's why I've used a lockout agreement. So the idea is I want to go for as many units as we can possibly fit in the building, so then I can then go back to the Broads Authority with planning to then come back down to the project that I want and deliver something that actually suits the area and the needs of the people in the area. I've had a main contractor to come around and have a look at the building to give a rough idea of what they think needs doing with it. I've had a structural engineer round to the property as well. Today I'm looking for seed capital of about £240,000. I've been in touch with my broker and secured development finance and funding for the building with Octane Capital. So the idea is that once we come down the line, they will then fund it, the development further on. The other side of it is we've got open market value bridging it against what we believe the property to be worth once we've got the Class O on it. The idea then being over the space of the development we'll then draw down as we hit through certain stages. But I've done subdivides, we've turned 1 beds into 2 beds. But something of this scale I haven't done myself. So that's why I've then gone to a project management company locally to look to bring on their services, which then they can bring on contractors, bring those on board, and then they can then deliver the site from start to finish, ensuring we've got the guarantees on it. One of the interesting things I think is interesting, I quite like numbers. As you'll see, you've got endless numbers in your packs.
Yes.
You'll be good friends with
Lovely.
Helen.
Yes, delighted with that.
It should achieve about a 26% margin on the deal. Off the top of my head, I think it's about 37% return on cost.
So it looks like you're going to use PD to get the conversion to studio 2 1 beds and 2 3 beds, and then go back for planning to try to get 2 5 bed duplex out of it. And that's going to be like HMO type thing, is it?
Yeah, that's the idea. So where it's quite close to the city centre and is
Is that not that close to the city centre, is it?
It's not that
Tristan?
close,
Because
no.
I know it. I know the road and I know exactly where it is.
So what I've done is in the back of the pack, you'll see that I've got a letter from a local HMO landlord or letting agent, and they've turned around and confirmed the rents that they believe that we could achieve for that property.
With option 1, it's not really worth doing it, is it?
No.
But you've got it subject to planning to get option 2.
Yeah, that's the idea, to then lift it up.
And how long's your lockout agreement?
So this is the lockout agreement, covers the initial permitted development, and then that brings it up. So it's 3 months from when we had it in, and that was about 2-3 weeks ago. So
okay. Just before we go any further, I just want to say excellent pitch. Slightly long, but that's fine. But the detail you've gone to, for someone that hasn't done a deal of this size, you're doing all the right things. Engaging the project management firm, getting builders quotes, getting structural engineering, getting the key consultants on board early before you buy it to find any red flags. Well done on that. I think you've done really well so far. Thank you. Just talk me through.
the upstairs is actually a studio flat.
Okay.
The owner owns the building wants to retain that to themselves. So that's been carved off. So the building that we're getting is effectively, you can see the pitch roof that runs behind it.
Yeah.
It goes across, and that comes down the back. And that whole has been built pretty dense, so it runs straight back to the river.
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting out of it.
So it isn't what we're seeing.
So no, not quite. So this section.
Did you used to work for an estate agent, by any chance? So,
The
okay,
bit on the left.
So that's why in your
it's the
pack-
building on the left,
Yeah.
Yes.
not the building on the right.
No.
Okay. What about flooding?
That's the first thing I looked at, and that's
Good.
probably why it's put most people off the property, because as you all know, with permitted development, flooding instantly puts it out of the question. Where this property in the front of it's elevated, there's a 0.1% flood risk chance, and then there's
So is it 1, 2 or 3? Zone 1, 2 or 3, planning wise, flood wise?
I don't know the answer to that question, but it's the minimal, it's the least.
It's 1 then.
So it's going to be
One,
one.
which is 1 in 100 years, I think, something like
Yeah.
that. Now that surprises me. Is it because it's on a big slope down to the
Yeah.
Broads?
It does look quite high up, doesn't it?
Because
So
the
it is
Broads
quite high.
does
There's
flood.
also, when I've looked at you can use the flood risk planes and everything else online.
That's it. Yep.
And when you look at that, even on the other properties and other places in the area, they're actually, even though the ones that are lower down to the river are still on a similar kind of flood risk level.
How much parking is on site? Doesn't look very many.
So at the moment, out the front, is enough width to be able to fit 4 cars.
Mm-hmm.
There's also
Why'd you
across
say?
the
Why'd you say
road.
it's fine with prior approval? Prior
Pardon?
approval looks at highways and therefore parking.
Okay.
So some authorities will want to see the national minimum standards for parking that they apply on normal planning applications as part of prior notification. So you need to definitely have a parking highways consultant on board
Okay.
to see what the attitude, the local person that knows the local council and knows their attitude to parking.
The fortunate bit is across opposite the site, you'll see there's a close that comes up, and there's car parking on the side,
Okay.
or there's spaces available. And then again around the area, there's other flats and other developments nearby, and again there's more roads that cut off from it.
You know, they're going to look at highways carefully on this, I think, and you need to ask your planning consultant or get a planning consultant that really knows that council, because it's just the attitude of the council. I've got properties in, say, Newbury and Reading. Newbury want the full national space standards for parking, not national standards. Reading don't want any parking. So complete opposite opinions in 2 towns that are less than 15 minutes apart.
What I'm concerned about, and what I think you should have allowed for, is a little bit more time in that lockout period. Because I know prior approval is 56 days, and that's in slam dunk kind of cases. Whenever there is something else, like all the criteria that we've discussed, like highways and flood, and there may be noise, I don't know what, you mentioned there's a pub next door, there'll be noise, impact of the noise from that commercial
Noise
occupier
assessment,
and these
yeah.
guys. What these needs is, these aren't showstoppers, they're things that you need specialist consultants to do reports on and studies on and submit that with your application, and that adds to the time. And then in the case of parking, for example, you know, they may want something like a Section 106 agreement to say that it's going to be a car-free development. That takes a little bit of time. So what typically happens is 1 week before the end of the 56-day deadline, the council or the planning officer will say, can we have a 5-week extension to allow for this, that and the other? The other thing that worries me is the GDVs. Because with commercial to residential conversion, it's this old phrase which I love, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. So when you've got commercial buildings that look as though they're residential buildings, you will find that the GDVs will be pretty much bang on what the GDVs are for comparable residential properties. But if it looks obviously commercial, warehousey, there's either going to be a massive discount with the end values compared to similar purpose-built stuff, or you have to spend a lot of money on recladding and looking and have you taken that into account? Sorry, carry on.
With the GDVs, they've been based around about the £290 a square foot mark, so that is a bit below what's out in the rest of the market. The other thing that benefits this property is obviously, I realise a few of the units can have side views rather than necessarily over the river, but the units at the back that are facing over the river,
That'd be very nice. They will.
and
very
they
nice,
achieve
yeah.
a much more of a premium down that area than any of the properties that
Especially
obviously.
if you can get some moorings.
Which of the units have the view at the back?
So the split level duplexes will have views out the back onto the river, and then the idea with the penthouse, that's going to end up having a view looking out the back and across the side of it. So
the HMO units have the...
But they could also be used if you didn't put the stud work in on the ground on the first floor. that you could also use them as, say, family house and have large rooms across the back of them if you wanted to.
Who would want a 3-bedroom penthouse, even if the view is amazing, above 2 5-bedroom HMOs?
Idea with it was that the 3-bedroom penthouse would be used as an HMO as well.
As well, okay.
One thing that you haven't mentioned is windows. I mean, I can see one of the side elevation has a few windows, but the other doesn't have any.
Yeah. We're going to be putting all of the units across the sides where we've already got windows and outlook. And then the idea is then once we go into planning permission.
But in terms of planning, you'll need planning for those windows.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could potentially get your prior notification, the lockout agreement runs out, you buy it, you then got to go through possibly a 3 to 6 month planning process to get the windows before you can implement that PD. Have you considered that problem?
So the flip side is as you've said, if there is a delay like that, then where I said probably with the planning, with the Class O on it and something else moving along with it, we should be able to hit about £410,000 on a sale price. So even if you wanted to exit the site early and not do the rest of the development, there's still a half decent margin there, which doesn't quite answer your question.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but that's like a get out of jail free card, maybe, just sell it on for whatever you can. Maybe there's a bit of uplift, but maybe someone experienced like ourselves might come in and say, well, why are you selling it now? It's got no windows. The one thing they'll look at is the likelihood of getting those windows, and they're going on the planning portal and see your refused application for windows, unless you've withdrawn it, of course, which is what an experienced investor would do. They'd withdraw it before it got refused, but they'll still see a withdrawal, which most people assume would have been a refusal. Yeah. And so then it probably isn't worth what you think it is. It'll go back to office value. So I think the windows is quite a serious concern.
This to me looks a dog's dinner. Looks a mess. For me, it's a knockdown, and I don't often say that.
Absolutely.
It's a knockdown, and it's a new build overlooking the water.
Another
That way you can
stories.
design all the flats overlooking the water. I'm not interested in HMOs overlooking. Why would you put an HMO overlooking the water? It's premium. I think it's not a bad location. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. Norwich City Council concerned me. I've got an application on. I've got 12 flats, and you'll know in Earlham Road. You know Earlham Road, good road. I'm trying to get 2 extra floors on it, and they've been 5 months nearly, and they still haven't got a decision. Can't get hold of anyone. They're a bit of a nightmare. So I'm concerned about that. I would personally go on a pre-app for a new build scheme. If you get a positive response, then I would certainly be interested in working with you. And I'm local, so.
I'm with John on that. The word I wrote down is this is more complicated than I have the headspace to deal with, to be honest. But you have been incredibly thorough.
Yeah.
And you've answered every question that's been thrown at you so far. But like I say, that's got headache written all over it to me, and I'm not on for any more headaches than I can cause myself.
I think there's simpler deals to do in Norwich. I can find those deals for you.
Yeah, just to echo what some of the guys said, the models you put together, everything you're doing is right. Just doesn't seem like the site is right. If you're applying that to a site that's a bit easier and you're not having to change so much and force the most out of it to make it work, because even if everything goes to plan with this, it's not a super profitable deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You're looking at 25, 26%. Not bad, but that's if everything really goes to plan, which probably won't.
Yeah.
So there's probably much better deals out there which have more profit in them and are easier.
I could make that deal work for you, probably, but it's a lot of hassle. And if it was a competition and said that was what I was given to help make it work, then we could make it work, I'm sure. But doesn't mean just because you can do it, doesn't mean you should. Okay. And I just think with your ability and obviously you know what you're doing, you're active and all the rest of it. I think you can find, if I challenge you or one of us angels challenges you, I think you can find a better deal than that, a simpler deal, a less risky deal. So
would you look? I'm on the same page as the guys. I think it's the kind of deal that you can just about make work. I think the biggest issue is the planning for the windows. Yeah. John says the council's slow. Unless you can negotiate some overage with the vendor, which is where you give them a percentage of the profit of the uplift of the development to tie them into a subject to planning offer, full subject to planning, and then perhaps put in 2 schemes, put in the the PD scheme, which is going to look like a bit of a hash to the council,
Yeah.
or you put in this beautiful luxury 4-storey scheme,
Yeah.
and then they're going to want to go for that one because they know they'll get this hashed up PD scheme.
Well, I normally like these sort of deals, but I think the issue here is just on the PD alone, to implement the PD alone is not worthwhile from the figures that you've got here, and it's hingent on getting the planning. So I think the offer should have been made, rather than conditional on getting the prior approval 3 months, it should have been made conditional on the end result. Because the problem we'll have here is that you have to complete in 3 months, and we've probably got to wait at least a year before we can do anything meaningful on site. And for the amount of money tied up in that project, the duration of the project before you can put spade in the ground, that's why it doesn't quite work.
And just bear in mind, he's the king of PD. The prince of PD's over there, but he's the
I
king.
thought he was going to call me the queen of PD, and I would have been very concerned.
Is there a joker? Is there a joker?
Yeah, that's probably me. Helen?
No, headache.
Nicholas the same?
It's not for me, guys, but you're highly investable and a great pitch today.
I think. Tristan, what I would like to do, if I may, is have a coffee with you next week in Norwich.
Sounds like a plan.
How's that?
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you for coming.
Really well done.
So Tristan, tell us what happened when you walked in the room.
So they asked for a little bit more detail and information about me, and I can go on for absolutely ever. So I think the pitch may have been a little bit longer than they were expecting.
So what was the feedback in general?
So they kind of looked at the site. I think that some of them found it quite interesting, the aspects that it's got, though there's a few challenges with it.
Okay.
And I think John's comment was, knock the thing down and build something new.
Right.
So what I've gone in with, they weren't particularly happy with, and thought it was a bit more of a challenge to put the property together for the margin that would be achieved.
Did you think you'll consider demolishing it and putting another one, or are you
It'd be
going to
worthwhile
try and
running
stick?
the numbers and having a look, because there are some really desirable flats and blocks around the area.
Okay.
So it could be worthwhile
a
having a look to see what the
possibility.
GDV is and whether it's worth going for.
Okay. Well, good luck. Keep in
Thank you very
touch and let us know how you get on. We'd love to see how it progresses over the next few months.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, for me, frustrating because he's investable in, and it's local to me, and he just didn't come with a good enough deal.
And
He
they're trying to
answered
force-
every question that got thrown at him.
And from a development side, he was going down the exact correct route with the development. You know,
Yeah.
he would be able to run that on his own with minimal guidance.
I think with PD, there's so many opportunities out there, but it's important to get your shot selection right. You don't have to go
Ranjan.
for everything. Some you can hit sixers and bat them out the park, and those are the ones to go for, and these are the ones
Exactly.
to
Just
avoid.
because it's possible doesn't
Exactly.
mean you should do it. And we've always said that, Ranjan, haven't we?
Good summary.
And I think that's a really good summary.
Xuan, hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here.
Oh.
I can't sleep last night.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, well, welcome. It's our absolute pleasure to have you with us. Where did you come from today?
I am from Wimbledon, but originally I'm from China.
So tell us a little bit about the deal that you've brought today for our angels.
So it's a commercial to residential conversion using the latest Class MA permitted development right. So the timeline should be quite short, 12 to 18 months.
Very
There's a nice 1.1 million profit.
Lovely. That's what we like to hear.
And the return on GDV is 44%. I have actually prepared a very, very large pack with all the numbers because I know Helen likes it.
She does.
Yeah,
well
she'll ask me
remembered.
questions about the numbers.
She will grill you. Yeah, but in a good way. They're all lovely. I'm sure you'll have a great time in the room. Is there anyone in particular that you'd like backing from, or would you just be happy to work with any of the investors?
Work with any. Actually, I've done a course with Ranjan before.
Okay.
I'm in the same property network group with Helen. And actually, I've read John's book.
Yes,
So I kind of know, they don't know me, but I know them all very well. And I would be happy for any of them. And if I'm a bit greedy, maybe after today, if they can all become like mentors on my property journey, and maybe one day, hopefully I'm lucky, become my friends.
Good.
And I think that's worth more than the money I'm getting today.
Absolutely. Long-term plan. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. And I
you.
will have a chat to you when you get out. Fingers crossed for you.
Wish me luck.
So much luck your way.
Thank you.
Next, we've got Xuan coming in, and a development in Surbiton, very nice area. And I think, unfortunately, she already knows one of the angels. Ooh. I think we can probably guess which one. He's got a very big smile on his face. Shall we get her in?
It's a very thorough pack. I think she's been well trained.
Yeah, very good.
Or ruined.
Xuan, thank you very much for coming in today. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about the deal, please?
My name is Xuan, and I have been doing property full-time for 3 years now. My background was investment fund, and I did some management consulting as well. So I have a good eye for numbers and investments. But about 4 years ago, I had a baby girl, and her arrival basically completely changed my life. And she's so cute and adorable, and I just want to spend time with her. And all of a sudden, sitting in the office for 12 hours just stopped appealing to me. And it was then actually towards the final months of my maternity leave, I took the plunge into full-time development. It was very, very scary at that time. Imagine a little child and everything. It was very challenging, but looking back, I think it was the best decision ever I made for myself, for my little girl, and my family, my entire family. I've managed to build a rental portfolio of 12 properties in southwest London, and most of them are actually multi-units or large HMOs, 8, 9, 10 bedroom. And the rental income from that portfolio has allowed both my husband and I to quit our busy, stressful London jobs. So my husband now is a full-time Kung Fu instructor. Wow. That's his passion. And be nice to me. If you're not nice, you need to hire bodyguards, seriously. So
John needs a bodyguard because an awful lot of people
why does she look at me when you said that?
including
Watch the show.
Unbelievable. As if.
Okay, you need to hire bodyguards too. They'll leave Helen alone. But it's his passion. He really loved it. So he's actually very grateful towards me. Because I've done this, but the best thing is we both spend so much time with our little girl, and she's very, very lucky because when I was little, I didn't have that, and I think it was my best gift to her.
Oh, fantastic. Tell us about the deal, please.
So it's a commercial to residential conversion, and what we are buying are three, I can't leave this circle, but 3 shops in the front. Yep. And underneath the shops, there are 3 basements about the same size as the shops, but they are not full basement, they are semi-basement. And besides that, you also have a massive warehouse in the back. It's behind this building. Altogether, we have about 525 square meter. And what I'm planning to do is use the latest Class MA PD right to turn this. Yeah, Ranjan.
Yeah, Ranjan. This deal's got Ranjan all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, this is
his
I
DNA.
read your book as well.
Ranjan
I read your book.
M.O.
Have you? Well,
yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, that's $9.95 I've had off you, so thank you very much.
But you are too busy. You are this big, short developer. You don't have time to educating other people.
That's not quite true, but anyway, carry on.
So Class MA. So I get 3 smaller shops in the front, and then I get 3 large duplex garden flat in the back behind the shop. So that will take a third of the shop and the whole of the entirety of the basement. And then the warehouse can be converted into 4 flats, I think each about 44 square meter. The GDV is 2.5 million. Total cost is 1.4, including 800 purchase price, 50K planning, legal, other transactional cost, and 560 build cost, which include a 20% contingency because the prices are going through the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so that will give us about 1.1 million profit. So PD can help us significantly de-risk. There is still some risk, but we can de-risk. So first of all is we de-risk the planning. Secondly is the timeline, and sometimes planning, and this is London Borough of Kingston. I'm not sure if I can say it on TV, but it's a bit difficult.
Oh, they all are.
We slate the local authority all the time. They're the problem with the planning.
Not always their fault, to be fair.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
But sometimes planning takes a long time, and Helen likes numbers, right? 1.1 million over 12 months, 1.1 million over 36 months, just completely different story.
Exactly.
The last one I'm so excited is actually if you calculate the price per square foot, it's only 140. we are buying this commercial. But this is in Surbiton, a very, very high value London suburb. The residential price is between 500 and 600. So we're basically taking, unfortunately, a defunct place on our high street and turn into something very valuable, the housing stock we need in London. And also with this Class MA, what is so fabulous about it is this is conservation area. I'm very local. I live in Wimbledon. I know all my friends, developer friends, they go around this area. They don't even go there because it's conservation area. You have very few PD rights. The council is difficult. The conservation officer is difficult. But this Class MA, you have a small print that says you can do it in conservation area.
First of all, I think Ranjan should be very proud of you because you've done a great pitch to us all so far. So far, so good. Long way to go.
So you mentioned that you've spoken with some planning consultants, which is great. The build cost, is that you said you've spoken with the builder as well? That's just a rough estimate, is it? Or pretty
it's actually quite detailed. So I got 2 basement specialists and one builder, general builder, which is the one I've been using for 3 years now. And so based on my discussion with my friends and stuff, and they told, I think the best way to do it is a specialist contract for basement to do the structural work, to raise the roof, to do the tanking. And afterwards, I get my old builder in to do the rest of the work.
And what are the issues you mentioned that you said you've got solutions for?
So we need to do a full planning because it's conservation area to puncture the windows in. But the windows will be in the back. You can't see them on the ground floor, looking into your own yard. So no overlooking, no privacy issue. So planning consultant says just paperwork. There's no way the council say you can't have light in your basement. The last one and the trickiest one is impact on the conservation area. And that's why my planning consultant said, do not change the shop front at all and leave 30 square meter in the front. So 30 square meter is a viable shop.
And in the numbers, in your refurbishment numbers, you say you've got 20% contingency. Could you, so what exactly is that amount? So that's about 100K or 120K?
I actually have tried. If you look at I have a full list of the different build cost. I've even included like structural warranty, utilities, SAP calculation, everything I can think of, I've included there. But I still put another 20% on top, just because in case there is something I miss.
How much a square foot or how much a square meter does that work out at?
About 1,100 per square meter.
What's
I
the
have
end
3
game?
pages of numbers for you, Helen. I know you like it.
Oh, well done. Yeah. Get a gold star
What's
for your
the end
numbers.
game with this? Is it to sell on? Sell on the units?
Yes. I'm actually a property hoarder. I rarely sell, but with this one, I want to sell because we can use help to buy. So you get a premium out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have an issue with warehouses because it's all very well that they're PD, but is the slab that it's built on safe enough? Is it insulated? No, so you have to insulate the floor. You probably have to change the roof.
You're virtually starting again.
Very little left of the building, and it's actually probably more expensive to convert a warehouse than it is just to build
Is it
a single-story building.
brickwork and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, what's it made out of? What's the structure of it out of interest currently, the warehouse? Is it like
My
a steel
background was finances.
frame? You're a property developer now.
Struggling with construction.
But is it, very briefly, is it a
I
steel
think it's
building?
a brick.
So it's a brick-built building,
Yeah.
so that bodes well,
But it used
possibly.
to be warehouse, so I think the foundation is quite strong because they over-engineer the warehouse. They have to hold
yeah.
a lot of things.
Xuan, the problem you've got here, in my view, is you've got basement. Basement always rings alarm bells to me.
Cost.
Because the cost of doing it, you've got 1,100 pounds per square metre, which you've got about £120 a square foot, which to me, in London,
In a conservation
area,
with basements,
I
with
think
a warehouse.
that's light. You really, now if you'd read all 3 of my books rather than just the one, you would know that a schedule of works is absolutely vital. And a schedule of works, if you did a schedule of works on this, which you need to do at some point, then you would really flush out the price better. You'd get to the actual price it's going to cost rather than a building estimates, because builders want to get the work, they give you an estimate, you then do a schedule of works and guess what? Woof,
Missed a
price
load of
goes
stuff.
up. Especially at the moment, I appreciate you've got 20% in for contingency, which is very good. I wouldn't normally have that much in, but in the current circumstances, you may well be right, and I applaud you for that. I think your trying to make a purse out of a sow's ear. Is that the right saying? That's the right saying, isn't it?
Something like that.
Silk purse.
Silk purse out of a sow's ear. In other words, you know, you've got a project here. You've done all the training. You've done all the education. You're very, very bright, and you're trying to squeeze every little last ounce to make this deal attractive and work. And in my experience, they need to work more naturally. They need to be easier. If you've got to work, it's like a relationship. If you've got to work so hard at that relationship to keep it going, probably not worth it in the first place. It's got to be natural. For me, this deal it's not for me, mainly not because of yourself, because you're very, very investable for a number of reasons. Well trained by Ranjan for a start. But just because the deal you brought me today, there's too many ifs and buts for me. So on this occasion, unfortunately, because I'd love to work with you, it's not one I can do.
The second risk besides planning I have is basement, and I'm quite scared of basement because I've never done one before. And I will actually take your advice. Maybe I'll bulk another 30% of build cost on top of that.
Just do a schedule of works and go out and get some proper prices.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all you need to do.
We need a QS.
I hope I'm wrong.
I think you just need a QS to do a full scope of works and price it for you.
All
that
that
would be, you know, a couple of grand spent on that is going to be, you'll get that number down to the nearest sort of 20 grand.
Still thinking.
It's interesting. Tactically.
Tactically
I've just come out and said what I think, you know, which I think is the best thing to do. The others all got tactics. They're dodging and they're ducking and they're diving. I just come out and say how it is.
But John, look, even if you add another 20% build cost, we got 1.1 million profit here within 12 to 18 months. Can I not persuade you?
Bring me a better, more safer deal, if you like, and I'd love to do something with you.
Okay, yes,
Paul.
sir.
Yeah, look, there obviously are unknowns, but those unknowns can become knowns afterwards.
That sounds like Donald Rumsfeld.
So I think, you know, if you get that schedule of works, and even if that increases the build cost a little bit, you're right. Yeah, there is meat on the bone. So I'd be willing to offer you what you're asking.
Yes.
280 grand, 50% of the profit.
Interesting. You might get a better offer on that yet.
I think there's something really important to mention that we haven't asked you, which is in the pack, and let's let the viewers at home understand this. You're offering the 280,000 you need for the deposit money, and you've offered 50% to the investor. We've also offered a 10% return on that money whilst we lend it into the project.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly generous.
The reason I come here is not for this deal. I want to know you guys, and hopefully over my 30-year career, you can become my mentors and friends. That's why. I actually got a deal already, got an offer on this. Someone you might know, Helen, because he's in our group and he worked with you before, I think. He's offered 80% bridging on purchase and 100% of the development value. But I ditched him and come here.
Quite right. Well, that's a good decision.
Got people throwing money at you. That's always a great sign, Xuan. For me, I had the same concerns on this deal as John does, particularly on the basement and particularly kind of on the costs. I know you have got a decent contingency in there, but again, you know, with anything in these things, the risk on the cost is one way and the risk on the time is one way as well. It's, you know, I'd like to have confidence it would come in 18 months. I don't know if I do have confidence, but this is a great pack. It's very well prepared. I do think you need kind of a little bit more detail on the schedule of works. And yeah, no, I'd love to stay in contact with you. This deal isn't for me, but hopefully we can work together in the future.
Yes, madam.
John's right with the issues, but you've solved those. You've got a solution for them, and therefore you've de-risked most of it. I don't think any of us are going to be expecting to offer and for one of those to be a problem, because the deal probably won't go through for you anyway. So I don't see those as issues that won't be resolved before the deal's done. And I think there's even more planning uplift at the back. I want to step away from this because I think there might be 2 other offers coming. And
That's a bit negative,
I
isn't
wouldn't
it?
want. I wouldn't want to go up against Paul on this one. I think he's made a great offer.
That's interesting.
I'd probably want to offer you slightly keener terms. So I won't be offering today. But great. You know, I think it's a great site. It's right up my alley. It's exactly what I do as well. And I wish you well with it. I'm sure you'll get through those minor issues.
Thank you very much.
Just you left, Ranjan.
Yeah.
Listen, I love it. It's this is exactly what I've kind of encouraged you guys to look for. I don't share their pessimisms. I'll say something about your pack and the way you've looked at anything. I don't think you've left anything out.
No, very thorough.
I think that I do agree with some of the build cost issues, but I think the issues here is it's not that you've missed anything out in the way you've assessed this and presented it. I think you've missed some opportunities here, which is what I'd bring to the party, because this sort of deal needs a lot of expert knowledge, because there are a lot of moving parts and there are a lot of different PD rules and all of that, and there's a lot of sequencing issues to sequence things in the right way, because you're relying on the implementation of a planning permission before you can get do the PD and all this sort of stuff. And I know this stuff, as you know. So I would, I'm going to give you actually more than what you have asked for in this, in this JV. I am happy to do this JV with you on your JV terms. I think actually we can do better on the GDV and we'll work together on that. But what I know you've done some of my commercial property training, but I will also put you on my 1-year mastermind.
Come on.
That is
That
is a group.
The rules of the game.
No, I'm offering
Bye,
something.
John. See you.
You will be
Bye-bye,
with
John.
30 people
Bye-bye, John.
who live and breathe
Bye-bye, John.
these sort of projects.
Thank you very
And
much.
we do this all the time, basically. And I'll plug you into that group for a year. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll do this, and we'll, because this deal represents an opportunity which is going to be so prevalent now, with so many of these buildings becoming defunct and needing repurposing. And this is a textbook deal. So let's do it together and make it happen.
Thank you. And thank you, Paul, as well. But
So you've got to make it.
Thank you, Paul, but bye-bye.
You've
Paul.
got to make it.
I can feel the next thing
You've
coming.
now got to make a decision of who you want to work
No,
with.
you do have to decide.
And all that glitters is not gold. Remember.
Now, Ranjan, that's very true.
Why are you trying to in my suit?
Ranjan,
you heard me down first.
I'm just putting. I'm
Ranjan,
just
we had a
putting it out
conversation
there.
earlier. And
Yeah.
you agreed with me that sharing is caring.
Yeah, and you should have. And you
And
said
I would be
you
willing
said
to share
the
this
other
with
deal
you.
you should have shared together the one I got. So
Maybe on the next one.
Oh God.
I'll find you another one. Don't
Okay.
Should find you another one.
I'll have one too. Can I get in on one?
worry. John, do you want another one?
I'd love to work with you with the right deal. I don't think this is the right deal. Having said that, I do appreciate Ranjan's experience and knowledge on PD is far greater than mine, far greater than any planning consultant as well. You don't need to waste your time going for 7 days down to Cornwall for that job. I tell you now.
But I was
Just-
a lot of drinking and
Just
partying involved.
just talk to Ranjan.
Oh, it was a party in Cornwall, was it?
Oh, right.
Okay.
Just talk to Ranjan. Anyway, what decision would you like to make?
I think I'll go with the Ranjan and the mastermind course. I was going to pay for it myself, but he just offered.
Well done.
No, do take a scholarship.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you very much.
Well done.
So tell us how it went.
It can't be better. I'm so happy. I got multiple offers, and the most important, I got the offer I want. Whose
Excellent.
business card I got?
So-
Ranjan's business card.
So you're working with Ranjan.
Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations. What was the deal then? What's he offered you?
What I'm asking for.
Full amount?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And what's even better, he's agreed to put me on his mastermind course for a whole year. So I'll be connected to this very small, tight-knit community, and I'll have like face-to-face with Ranjan every week. So that's actually, I think, better even than the money.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
did mention that, didn't you, about wanting to work long term with them, and so that's brilliant news. So couldn't have gone any better.
I know.
Well, the Brucey bonus
I have to say,
swung it your way there.
really investable.
Yeah, she was great.
And she's a sponge for the information and the learning,
yeah, she's
and
very
she will
intelligent.
implement it. I mean, you do so many courses, and there are a lot of people that do
Some of us
courses and
don't.
don't implement.
Yeah,
She
that's the
will
problem,
take the
yeah.
learning and implement. And a lot of the stuff, the way she's presented the information is just, she's learnt it, she's gone out, we've told her what to kind of look for, she's gone out and assessed it on those sort of metrics and
Yeah.
things. She's an implementer.
I'm really looking forward to working with her on a better deal.
Yeah. Let Ranjan do the
And I'm
tricky one.
looking
You'll probably
forward.
get an email this afternoon, John, with a much better deal in it.
Well, you never know.
Well, look out on YouTube, you'll see how this turns out. And I think it'll be slightly better than this.
What are you going to do to it then?
There's one
what's
thing
the
you
plan?
can, listen, you can do a lot of things. You're a very clever guy. One thing you can't do is you can't influence build costs. And the build costs on that are going to be a lot more than she is saying.
Oh God, the warehouse alone is
think-
£500,000
Listen, the first thing is,
Seriously.
don't bother with the basements. Just convert
Without
the-
question,
Because this,
It's a red
if you look
herring.
at this building, it looks like a residential. It
Yeah.
was residential
Yeah,
originally.
it was originally, yeah.
So we'll just make the entire lot residential
Yeah.
and leave the basement.
Yeah.
Done.
I agree.
Good call.
And that
Good
shaves
call.
off
I
the build
agree.
cost. And there's plenty in the warehouse. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Maybe
you
try
can
punt on
optimise
the
that.
planning on the warehouse.
Yeah.
Try and get a 2-3
So that would
story
be an
building
in and
like
out
that.
type thing. And
Yeah. No, congratulations,
Done.
Ranjan.
Oh, it's
We're
painful
all
to
a
say
bit
that, isn't it,
gutted.
John? He says with gritted teeth, well done, Ranjan.
And so we come to the end of the first episode of Series 3, and what an episode it was. Not everyone walked away with a deal. Everyone did walk away with some hugely valuable feedback though from our 5 angels. That's all for now. I'm Elizabeth Warburton and you've been watching Property Elevator.